Raw review for the January 6th episode of Raw. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some Raw to Netflix.
Yeah, Raw to Netflix is finally here after all the build-up.
All of it.
A lot of great stuff right in the beginning in terms of production quality, the video, the screen coming down and all that video playing and all that stuff.
Yeah, we had there was a loading before, screens that were going on before the show started, and it was like all the wrestlers posing and all this cool stuff. Production quality was through the roof. We start the show, and they had a cold open video, and it was on this big curtain that covered the ring, and then the curtain dropped, and there was Triple H standing there in the middle of the ring, big pop. He basically was saying, Netflix era has begun. Good stuff. He walks to the back, lights go out. Everybody's like, what the hell is happening here? Rock's music hits. If you smell. We haven't seen him since he counted to 3 at Bad Blood, and we're all like, ooh, we get to see what's coming next. And Rock walks to the ring, he's got a smile on his face, and what does he do? He promotes Netflix. Mm-hmm. And then that was a big theme of the night, obviously, because it was the first one on Netflix. But he promotes Netflix for a while. He shouts out they had a press box full of Netflix execs and all that fun stuff. He does this good old finally, The Rock has come back. But he also thanks people. He thanks a couple people for carrying the WWE. He thanks Cody Rhodes for carrying the WWE over the past year. He says, tell Mama Rhodes I said hello, and they all laugh, all buddy, no hard feelings there, I guess. He also says, and to Roman, he is the tribal chief and the only original tribal chief. That's what he says. He goes, I will watch this match between you and Solo very closely. If you smell, but The Rock is cooking, and he walks off. What do we think about this opening segment? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give benefit of the doubt here. It's good to see The Rock. We knew he's on the board of TKO. We knew he had to come out, kiss some Netflix ass, to put it truthfully. It's good to see him. Good stuff. Pop it.
Yeah. Kissing ass, not boots to asses this week for The Rock. The only thing that maybe is a little bit of a takeaway is, when he says finally at the very end, he doesn't say The Rock. The crowd is chanting Rocky.
Yeah.
He doesn't say The Rock. He doesn't say the final boss. There's no acknowledgement. I mean, he's dressed up like the final boss.
Yep.
But no acknowledgement of the final boss stuff. Stuff was fine. It was okay. I mean, nothing, I guess, wrong with it. So, popping it.
Yeah, and he walks to the back, or he doesn't. He kind of just leaves.
He kind of walks by the commentary booth through the crowd. Also, I will say, you have to, I'm going to tell everybody there, you have to pop this for the sheer feeling of the goosebumps.
Oh,
the
yeah.
4K camera. You see The Rock, he's getting the goosebumps. We're getting the goosebumps. Everybody's getting the goosebumps.
The first 10 minutes of this, you could just tell, okay, this is going to be different. Mm-hmm. The camera angles, the set is a little bit nicer now. The announce table got an upgrade. It's almost unbreakable at this point, which could be good or bad. But it's got shiny lights on it, and it's Michael Cole and it's Pat McAfee, and they're in the nicest, newest stadium in America, and it looks freaking crazy. So the goosebumps were flowing to go early on. It was followed up with Solo Sikoa taking on Roman Reigns in tribal combat. Boom, boom. We were like, The Rock just came out here. We got Solo and Roman coming to the ring. Whoa, something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they started out with back and forth until Solo would hit a spinning solo almost right away to Roman Reigns onto the announce table. Not on top of it, but from the outside to it. He hits Roman with an iPad afterward because tribal combat, they got iPads. He takes the iPad right off the table, hits him with it. He throws the steps at Roman's face. He's beating the hell out of Roman. He takes a steel chair and batters him with it for a lot of the time. And then we get our first little thing of what is Netflix going to look like? Commercial break. And we did our live stream, by the way, YouTube now. We're streaming right here. So if you're watching, you can come to our live streams. But everybody else had commercial breaks. We had our Netflix. I was recently in Germany, so it thought we were still in Germany, I guess. No Netflix commercial break for us. We stayed on the action. So that's how it's going to work, I guess. I guess if you're in the States and it doesn't matter what package you got, you're going to be seeing commercial breaks. And if you are in, I guess,
anywhere outside the U.S., yeah.
You got nothing, which was really, really nice. Like, really nice to not have commercials.
It made it a lot easier to stick with the matches.
Yes.
They didn't feel as broken up. They didn't feel as monotonous.
Yeah. Anyway, that was our first little taste of like what is Netflix going to look like on a day-to-day basis. Hopefully we can keep our stuff in Germany because that's pretty freaking nice.
Yeah, we'll see.
But he's putting chair shots on Roman until eventually Roman gets put in the corner and then he tries to do like where he Solo puts a chair around his neck and tries to go for like the running butt move, but Roman gets out of the way and he starts beating Solo Sikoa with the chair as well. And then eventually Solo was like, no, those didn't hurt enough. I'm going to go get a kendo shot and come back. So he comes back into the ring and he starts battering Roman with a kendo stick. All things going absolutely crazy. He's really beating it. They're making Solo look strong here. Solo is beating the hell out of Roman. He gets in the corner and he's going, I loved you and you didn't love me. So he's getting story beats in there. During this time, they had set up a table in the middle of the ring and Solo is screaming at Roman. He's on the top of the corner beating down on Roman. Roman picks up Solo, power bombs him through the table. 1, 2, ooh. Good stuff. But eventually, Roman power bombs to the table, and that's when he goes for the pin. 1, 2, Tama Tonga is here. He pulled out the ref from the ring. Shenanigans is happening. It's tribal combat. I mean, what'd you expect?
Yeah. Technically, I guess tribal combat was no interference or whatever, but it's WWE. They do what they want.
It's the bloodline story.
They do what they want. The bloodline does what they want. Roman Reigns does what everybody does what they want,
He comes out. He fatus. I was ahead of myself. Tama Tonga pulls the ref out, and then Jacob Fatu comes in, and Jacob Fatu wants to get his hands dirty. So he walks in, he DDTs Roman Reigns, and he hits the prettiest moonsault ever from Jacob Fatu, nails him. Looks great per usual. After the moonsault and after the DDT, they pick up Roman Reigns and Solo spikes him. Mm-hmm. And it looks like, damn, that's done.
Just like that.
1, 2, Roman kicks out. Oh, okay, that's kind of crazy. Everybody gets mad. All the Bloodline 2.0, they get mad and they kind of like blame the ref. And Solo walks over, spikes the ref. Mm-hmm. Not good. You can't win without a ref. He spikes the ref, and when he spikes the ref, Sami Zayn and Jimmy Uso, they come running out to aid Mr. Roman Reigns because Jey Uso's got a match later, so he can't go out there. He got a match later.
Right.
But they come out, they kind of take out Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. They walk into the ring, and they super kick Solo, and then Sami haluva kicks Solo, which, that ends 99% of men right there. Mm-hmm. And after he gets haluva kicked, he gets speared by Roman Reigns. 1, 2, ooh, a kick out from Solo Sikoa. And I'm like, damn, okay, this guy is literally, they're letting him get a bunch of damage off. He's on the level of Roman Reigns right now. Mm-hmm. When that happens, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga are back up. So Sami and Jimmy kind of fight them out of the arena, right? They kind of leave the match. And Roman goes to the corner. He's looking for another spear. Kevin Owens is here. Kevin Owens stuns Roman Reigns out of nowhere.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, me too.
I was like, I mean, it makes sense, but also like, what the hell? I did not expect this at all.
And after the stunner, Solo goes for the pin. 1, 2, ooh. Roman Reigns kicks out again.
Then Cody comes out.
And then Cody runs out.
Uh-huh.
Your champion. He comes out. And they start, Cody cutters Kevin Owens. And they spill out into the crowd. So all that's going on. A Superman punch, or Roman goes for a Superman punch, but it gets reversed. It gets reversed by Solo Sikoa, but Roman reverses the spike and does his bounce off the rope, spears him once, hits him with another spear. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns pins Solo Sikoa in tribal combat. What happens next? Paul Heyman is the one holding the Ulafala, as Solo Sikoa requested. He comes in the ring. He looks reluctant. He looks unsure. And we're like, what the hell's going on here? Well, The Rock's want to walk into the ring. No music. He just walk into the ring. And The Rock gets in the ring and he asks Paul Heyman, can I be the one to crown Roman Reigns? And no drama. He walks over there. He crowns Roman Reigns. They handshake, they hug. So The Rock is now crowned Roman Reigns. He has the Ulafala. Roman beats Solo Sikoa in tribal combat. What's next for Roman Reigns? What's next for Solo Sikoa? I don't know. But this whole thing was fantastic. We'll get into the ending, but I will pop all this.
Yeah, I'm going to pop it as well. I think this was a I guess, a very good tell of the night, at least, of, hey, we're going to make sure we establish these main people in terms of whether or not, if you're a wrestling fan, whether or not you think Solo should have won or Roman should have won. They made sure to give Roman the win, made sure to feel important. I think that played a big part in throughout the night before we get into all of that stuff. No shenanigans. I don't know what happens for Roman now, as we find out later in the night. He will not be on Raw or, I guess, TV until January 27th, so 3 weeks away.
Yep.
Solo, I'm going to assume him and Paul, the story's not, it's not over. Paul, obviously, at the end there, showing that kind of disdain, like that, almost like disappointment in Solo was what I kind of gathered from Paul. I think that's kind of what's next from Solo. But in terms of being the original tribal chief, the only tribal chief, that's kind of done in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what's next, but this is now to me like finalized. Like they won Roman and Bloodline 1.0. They won the War Game Civil War. They won that. And now tribal combat with the run-ins, Roman still prevailed. Roman is the tribal chief. He has the Ulafala. The Rock even came out. He granted him that. Like, this feels like a definite end to this story. I don't know if they want Solo to come back to the Roman stuff, or it feels like maybe Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa can go off and do their own thing if they want to do some sort of split off that way. But this just feels like a definite finish to whatever Bloodline story they're telling right now, and a new inning starting. So yeah, that's
yeah. I think it's a great point you made. There's a new innings about to begin. This one ends because, realistically, you look at it. Why should Roman give Solo the time of day for anything?
Yep.
Solo might want that, but there's no reason for him to give that to him. So that's why I think Paul comes into play here.
Yep.
And maybe some more Bloodline 2.0 emphasis. Even the Bloodline 1.0, original Bloodline, Sammy, Jimmy stuff, that didn't make enough of an impact tonight for me to think that that's going to be a main focal point going forward.
I will. Yeah, you're very correct. I agree. I'm going to throw in one drop. I didn't like what The Rock did tonight. The Rock tonight was weird. The last time we saw The Rock was Bad Blood, where he threw up the 1, 2, 3. And before that, the last time we saw him was him basically saying, I'm coming after you, Cody Rhodes, down the line. And he didn't know if him and Roman were still going to be good or any of that stuff. So he comes back, doesn't answer any of the Bad Blood questions. He comes back kind of almost completely out of kayfabe, just there to kind of promote Netflix. And then he's being very face, right? He's being very nice. He's joking around with Cody, and he's giving Roman Reigns all of his flowers. And now he does the tribal chief thing where he anoints him with the Ulafala, which is fine. But like, to me, it felt like, what are we doing here? Is this The Rock? Is this the final boss? Is this Dwayne? Like, it doesn't seem to be a through line story with The Rock right now. Like, I don't know what I'm getting with him.
Yeah, and I guess as this comes out tonight, he's going to be on NXT.
Yeah.
So maybe you get something. I doubt it. I think it's just a promotional tour this week for The Rock. Hey, I'm part owner here, and I'm on the board, and this is WWE. Like, welcome to it or whatever. I think that's kind of what we're getting. In terms of the actual like in-ring stuff, the only thing, like, I guess we saw Rock acknowledging Roman and giving him that, and giving him the props that he deserves, but part of me thinks that with the disdain with Paul and Solo, maybe we didn't really see a ton of interaction. Rock was like accepting, like, okay, Roman wins, Paul, can I crown him? So maybe there is more of an interaction with like Rock Solo that we haven't seen. That's a little bit of hope I'm going to maybe hold out, because like you said, I don't know where to go. That's the only way that could go. Like, that's the only place it could go if it goes anywhere. Yeah. I don't know where it goes, but that's the only place.
Yeah, I just, don't get me wrong, I love seeing The Rock. The Rock is always welcome on my television, but I just think that there had been so many seeds planted before this that him now coming back on such a big stage and answering nothing and giving us no context for the future, it just feels like, okay, well, when are you gonna write the next chapter in this story? Like, how long do you want me to be invested in something that doesn't seem to be coming to fruition at all?
Yeah, and that's a fair point, because like we said, Roman's not going to be back for another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We don't know when we're going to see The Rock again outside of NXT. Now, I know he's going to be there on NXT, and maybe you get a SmackDown appearance, maybe, but there's nothing confirmed with him.
Yeah.
So
Bingo.
We haven't heard anything.
One thing that I'm not going to go over very much of, they did a bunch of, speaking of the whole differences in Netflix versus the States and your package or whatever, while after matches, while the States were in commercial breaks, we got like these little interviews, kind of like Saturday Night Main Event style in front of the crowd. And we got it with the New Day and the Miz and some of these people. They're good little interviews. If you want to see them, you can go to Twitter or somewhere to watch them. The New Day basically said, LA doesn't deserve them. And then the Miz was saying, they're still doing their Karrion Kross thing. I'm going to just throw a pop at this, at all that. I like that happening, but most people don't see it. And I just think that they don't have enough, they don't have enough meat to go over every week. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys want me to go over them every week, we'll do it. But I think we're going to skip past those type of things.
Yeah. If there's something that's important of note, I think I do like that the interaction in front of the crowd. I do like that part of it. But there was nothing of substance tonight, nothing of note. If there is something of note during one, we'll make sure to tell you guys.
But then it started. The farewell tour has begun. John Cena comes out to the ring, not wearing this shirt that they made everybody buy. He's rocking all new blue attire, that damn Fruity Pebble. But he comes out and he, of course, promotes Netflix. And I'm going, is this what tonight's going to be? A lot of promotion. He thanks everybody. But then he goes, by the way, this is my last trip to LA, which is a very special place because obviously he used to work there in Gold's Gym. He won his first championship at WrestleMania 21, which was WrestleMania Hollywood, all that good stuff. He goes, everybody wants to know who I'm going to face during this run. He mentions Drew McIntyre. He mentions CM Punk, Logan Paul, Gunther, Cody Rhodes. And he goes, will I get my 17th World Championship, the record-breaking run? And the whole crowd's popping. Every time that when he said Drew McIntyre, they popped. When he said Cody, they popped. Every name, they popped except for Logan. They booed, of course. Mm-hmm. But when he said 17th World Title, popping. And he goes, if I'm honest, I don't see it happening. He goes, there happens to be a streak, and I'm not talking about the WrestleMania streak or Roman Reigns streak. He said, I haven't won a match in over 2,000 days. It's been since 2018, by the way, people. And he goes, as far as 17 goes, it ain't happening. And then he kind of talks and he goes, at this point, I just think it would take a miracle, like winning the Money in the Bank or winning a number one contendership out of nowhere or winning the Royal Rumble. And then he backs up for a moment. He sits there and he goes, wait, I think I'm going to win the Rumble. He starts talking himself into it. And the whole crowd, every time he mentions it, the crowd's just louder and louder and louder. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to win the Rumble. It sounds impossible, but with me, anything is possible because you know that I never give up. I'm not just going to compete in the Royal Rumble. I am going to win the Royal Rumble. So we know John Cena's first matter of business during this farewell run will be him eyeing that Royal Rumble match. Freaking give it to him. I want it. Screw it. It makes no sense. I'm so down. This is going to be so much fun. Pop.
I'm popping this because it's Cena. You got that if you want some, come get some. You got all the catchphrases. Like you said, the way that the crowd is firmly behind him on everything. Yeah. He's like, this is my last chance. Crowd's like, give him everything. Yeah. Do it. I think he's probably going to go the route of finishing second or third in the Rumble. It's probably the route you want to go. Plus, I mean, that just tugs on the heartstrings a little bit. But it's good to see Cena. Little surprised, I guess, for the last time he's going to be in LA, just nothing. Like when he mentioned that, I was like, oh, they're not going back there. And then no in-ring stuff, like in terms of a match. Like, yeah, you get to see him. That's great. That's awesome. But for him to hold that so close to his heart, just a personal thing, I was like, oh, well, shucks,
Yeah, I mean, if he could wrestle every week, if he could.
It's probably better that he doesn't, but.
If he could, he would.
Because you're not going to be able to make it that far, realistically.
My only thought is we're a ways out from Rumble still. I mean, we're not, right? We're less than a month or like right at a month. But there's a good amount of Raws between there. Let's not just have him walk out every Monday night and go, I'm going to win the Rumble. I'm going to win the Rumble, right? I wouldn't mind some more like little mini feuds, but just in terms of him eyeing the Rumble, it sounds like a fever dream. And the Miz later on, he was like, yeah, everybody was so happy about John Cena entering his 20th Royal Rumble. He's already won 2 of them. Who cares? It's like, yeah, you're right, but like, come on, it's John Cena. It's the Royal Rumble. Give it to him. Let's do it. If he can just, it feels like everybody is in agreement with each other. We've all handshook as like wrestling fans. Just like anytime this man comes out, enjoy the hell out of it. I don't care if it makes any sense. Pop anything he says. Let's just have fun. And this was such a fun way to begin the tour.
Yeah, great start to it. I would like to see one little maybe tune-up match like the week before, or maybe a Saturday night main event. You throw him on there. Maybe he has a match for somebody. A little tune-up before the Rumble. But yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm a drop here from me. Logan Paul was scheduled to be on TV. He was. Huh?
He had a package.
He was one of the, like, if you go on WWE.com before the match, before the night, Logan Paul had like his own they had their face, they say, he on Raw. He wasn't. He was in a promo package, and he said
he was in the crowd as well.
Yeah, he was in the crowd, and he said he was going to be 100% a Raw superstar now. He's not doing this as a side hustle anymore. I'm not going to get behind that right now. I'm going to drop it when you advertise something, and then all it is some like video package. So
yeah, I mean, I wasn't really looking forward. Like that didn't move the needle one way or the other. Like I didn't care.
Yeah,
admittedly, I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving it a drop. Sorry. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, World Heavyweight Championship match.
It's important to note also at this point we're against like 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Roughly. I mean, second match about 2 hours in at this point.
Almost. Yeah. This one was, Jesus Christ, the IWC does not have a good reputation as is online, but with the Liv and Rhea stuff, Jesus. I think we're in agreement. We were in the stream as well. We just want this thing to be over. And here we go. So this was it. Mm-hmm. But Rhea would throw Liv out of the ring right away. And Raquel would obviously get in the way. And Rhea would cannonball off the apron and take out Raquel. And then she'd powerbomb Liv onto the announce table, which once again did not budge. I mean, that thing is like a stiff item now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they better not have that breaking in 2K25.
Yeah, dude, it can't break. Liv would respond, though. She'd do a Hurricane Rana off the ring apron and powerbomb, a bunch of stuff. She would dominate during the commercial break. But when we got back, Rhea would hook up. And when she hooked up, it'd be all suplexes, all big knees, elbows. But Liv would eventually get a backstabber off. She had a couple code breakers throughout the match. Mm-hmm. She was kind of her go-to. She had a tornado DDT. But Rhea would eventually reverse one of the riptide, or reverse one of the code breakers, flip her around and do the riptide. She hit Liv with the riptide. 1, 2, Liv kicks out. And when Liv kicks out, Dom would slide in a belt.
The title, yeah.
The title. And that would leave the ref to turn around. And the ref would go for the title. Well, Raquel would slide in a chair. And then Rhea would walk over to try to deal with Raquel while the ref was dealing with the title. And while Rhea was dealing with Raquel, Liv walked over, oblivion to Rhea onto the chair, the same way she beat Rhea when Dom did the turn. 1, 2, Rhea kicks out. When that happens, Liv gets up and immediately hits the three amigos. Dom can't get it, but Liv can. And then she walk over, hit a 5-star frog splash. Not 5-star, but like frog splash.
Like
2-star frog splash. It's good.
It's all right.
1, 2, ooh. Rhea kicks out again. So she just took an oblivion onto a chair. 3 amigos and a frog splash. She kicks out. But she would pick up Rhea, get her into the ropes, and go for the oblivion once again, where Rhea would intercept it, hit, or just like basically throw her down like a spinning solo almost, like just slam her, pick her up, riptide her, boom, pick up Liv again, another riptide, boom, 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. Rhea Ripley is your new world heavyweight champion. She defeats Liv Morgan. After the match, Dom tries to go for a hug on Rhea. She kicks him right in the nuts, gives him a riptide as well. Walks to the...
But wait, there's more.
Walks to the stage. Lights go out. We hit a dong. The Undertaker is here. The American Badass Undertaker. No, you didn't accidentally skip forward in the video. This is all happening right here. And he comes out on the bike and he rides around the ring once and then goes to the ramp next to Rhea so that Rhea can pose with the Undertaker. What the hell just happened? I don't know what to do. The match was fine. I'll pop the match. I'm going to drop the finish and the rest, and we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me, like you said, was we need to get this figured out and finished one way or the other. And, there were a lot of rumors about maybe a Becky return, maybe costing Liv or something of that nature. Didn't get anything like that. Just got a straight up, for lack of a better term, kind of domination from Rhea Ripley, again, which is what Rhea's done this whole time. So as long as we get that, I'll give it a pop, I guess. It does make it feel to me as if Liv kind of just kept the belt warm and Liv's title reign kind of wasn't really important or nothing really of note. Even with the people on the outside like Raquel and Dom, they couldn't get the job done. Dom just watches her take the pin and then he tries to hug Rhea as well. It's like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, I get everybody wants to be happy and see Rhea riptide Dom. I get that. That's what people want. But storyline wise, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, my issue with this, I'm completely fine with Rhea winning. Happy for her. She is a champion and is one of the best in the ring in all of wrestling. Give it to her. Fine. My thing is, it feels like Liv didn't develop as a character at all. Like, she just kept running and kept running. No one ever thought she could beat Rhea. The only way she could beat Rhea was the help from Dom, and that was never proven wrong at all. That was fact. Then Rhea just wins. Dom doesn't help. Dom goes to try to hug Rhea. So is the Liv Dom stuff done? Like, we walk away from this with Liv not really developing as a character in my mind. And the Liv Dom stuff is now on thin ice too. And it's just like, okay, well, where do you go with Liv at all? Like, you don't leave her with any stock, in my opinion.
Yeah, to me, the only thing is next week we have Finn versus Damian Priest in a street fight.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Finn probably gets the win there, and he can once again be like, look what happens if you listen to Finn, and you have that storyline again. But at the same time, that doesn't do anything for Liv individually. As for the Undertaker stuff afterwards, I mean, Undertaker was advertised to be there in the drone show, he was there. So,
What the hell was the Undertaker Rhea Ripley stuff? Why? I mean, I get it. It's Netflix and you want the biggest stars of all time there. But like, what sense did that make? He just shows up, he drives around the ring, and then they pose into the sunset together. Rhea Ripley and the Undertaker?
Yeah, and I'd heard Stone Cold was originally supposed to be here tonight as well, and then that kind of fell through. I'm sure probably part of it, Stone Cold was also probably like, oh, why the hell would I travel all the way out there just to do nothing?
Yeah.
I'm sure that probably was mentioned at some point.
Stone Cold was like, why? No.
Yeah.
And then you have the Undertaker who's just like, oh, I get to hear my dong again? Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, you heard me. All right.
Yeah, at this point, we're about, 2.5 hours into the show.
Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm. He was advertised to be there as well.
He's been advertised for months to be at this.
He even got a special belt.
We're like, what are they going to do with him? And his music starts to hit. This is the Fiend song. And they show him he's in the right where Jey Uso comes in. And we're like, oh, that can't be a coincidence. Where was it? Travis Scott and Jey Uso, they come out and they are yeeting together. But Travis Scott does not say a word. Travis Scott does not perform. All he does is follow Jey down in the ring. He's smoking as he's going down, and he's smoking that good stuff. You know what I mean? And he gets to the ring, and Michael Cole and Pat McAfee are yeeting, and Travis Scott's yeeting. Everybody's yeeting. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Travis Scott gets the easiest $1 million day of his life, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else that needs to be said.
Yeah.
We went from the Undertaker being like, oh, what the hell is this? Like, okay, Travis Scott, that'll be cool for a minute. And then it was like, oh, he doesn't say a word. He does nothing. And it was like, okay, commercial break.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
Fun as hell.
It was cool. But good for him. I mean, if that's how they want to spend their money, you know what I mean? Like, go ahead. That's why tickets are so expensive.
Yeah,
they gotta pay Travis Scott.
Yeah, here's your $900 nosebleed seat so that Travis Scott can yeet down the ring with Jey Uso. And you know damn well Travis Scott didn't know who Jey Uso was until the second they walked down that that stairs together.
I think Travis is a fan.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Anyway, Jey Uso is fighting Drew McIntyre because Drew McIntyre has been attacking all of him and his buddies over the past few weeks. And Jey would attack before the bell even rang. During Drew's entrance, he'd come out there and baseball slide drop kick to him, and then he would go for a suicide dive, but Drew would catch him belly to belly and suplex him onto the mat outside the ring, and that looked bad, man. But he would be dominating Drew most of the match until Jey would do basically the same thing that happened earlier with Solo and Roman. He had him in the corner, and Drew was beating him in the corner until Jey picked him up, powerbombed him in the middle of the ring. Little sit-down powerbomb. Drew would go for a Claymore, but Jey would reverse it into, his patented super kicks over and over and over again. Drew would get a spine buster off eventually, though, and then he would just pick him up directly after that, do a spinning sit-down powerbomb, 1, 2, ooh, and then he'd pick him up. Drew would do a danger shock, 1, 2, ooh, there as well. And then you get to this match, very slow match, very slow.
Yep.
And then kind of randomly, it would just heat up real quick, and Jey would spear Drew, 1, 2, ooh there. But Drew would get up, and they go back and forth with some slaps and some chops, and then Drew would just Claymore kick Jey Uso and get a 1, 2, ooh there. And Drew would line up a second Claymore kick, and when he starts running at Jey just falls to the mat, like face first, like he's dead. And when he does that, Drew kind of celebrates. He's kind of like, yeah, I beat the hell out of this guy to the point where he can't move. I'm so good. And he backs up to the corner, and that's when he does, his wake-up taunt. Starts counting, and that's when Jey gets up. And when Drew runs at Jey drops down and catches Drew when he falls and rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso gets a roll-up pin on Drew McIntyre at Raw on Netflix. I don't know about that one. I'm going to go ahead and give that one a drop. I didn't like the match. Really didn't like this finish. I get that you're trying to protect both guys here. None of them look weak, right? Drew gets pinned out of nowhere, right? It was just smarts of Jey, but I think we're just trying to build Drew up to be a legit title contender on SmackDown and a real-time badass, and he needs some legitimate wins under his belt, in my opinion.
Yeah. 3 out of the 4 matches tonight, I could sit there and say like, oh, well, this is probably why they did this. And I guess you could say that as well for this one. Like, oh, but Jey Uso's arguably still the most over in terms of a new audience. Hey, this is Jey. This is this Yeet guy. He comes down and he does this stuff and da-da-da. But if you look at it on the outside perspective, like, yeah, it's going to piss Drew McIntyre off. Yeah, he can maybe afford a loss, but it doesn't really align. Like, Drew McIntyre needs these wins, like you said. He's potentially the hottest guy right now. Everybody loves Drew McIntyre. Everybody's loving the work that Drew's done. For somebody like Jey, that you advocate for wins for Jey for so long, and Jey doesn't get those wins, and you're like, oh, okay, well, Jey can also afford a loss as well here.
Yeah.
To have Jey get the win, it's just like, oh, okay. Like, it's just kind of like puzzling. It doesn't do anything really one way or the other. Maybe they're trying to help establish Jey to where he can be an equal to Roman down the line eventually is maybe what we're going with, but I would have liked to see Drew win here, so I'm dropping this one as well.
You need to make it feel like Drew is a actual impending threat over all these people, and that he can come and beat you one by one and really destroy you from the inside. And when he just like misses the Claymore and gets rolled up, it just feels like, oh, dumb Drew, shouldn't have messed up there. Like, I really want them to lean full into this heel Drew McIntyre and make him this just dominating presence where it feels like Cody should eventually stay the hell away from him. Like, you shouldn't be welcoming that at all because Drew's going to come kill you. And, having him lose here just feels, I mean, I get it. Jay's great. So, whatever.
Yeah, maybe the more shocking or most shocking of the night, I would say.
Yeah.
And kind of out of nowhere, like you said. Yeah. Also, the crowd was not into this at all. So that didn't do it any favors as well.
You popping it or dropping it?
Dropping it. Dropping this one.
Anyway, Hulk Hogan got
I'm dropping this as well.
booed out of that place. Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart, they walked out to promote Netflix and got booed out of that freaking building, man. I don't know why they try to set him up. Walking Hulk Hogan into LA like that was not the play, and it was not the time. We were like 2.5 hours into this event. We had heard 10 people already come out and promote this event. it was just not the right play, and the crowd let him hear it, man. Hulkamania is dead.
And it was awesome because he comes out and he's trying to do his thing, and then he looks around and he's like, "Oh, these people are booing me!" Like you could tell he's so shocked, and they just kept on going, and it was awesome to see him get booed. I thought it made me laugh. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe this is where they could have maybe had Stone Cold go in there if something was right, but definitely a not good, not smart by WWE here at all.
If we have flexible hours on Netflix, this is the stuff you can shave off.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like you said, it's probably just because it's the first one. I get it. But this or the Gabriel Iglesias, the fluffy Alpha Academy New Day thing, like that's one thing I do want WWE to be careful of is like just because you've got potentially 3 hours doesn't mean you got to go with the 3 hours the whole time.
Completely agree, but Hulkamania is dead, bro. Main event though, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, the main event that we've been wanting for years. Main event that people thought we wouldn't see till WrestleMania, happening here on Raw to Netflix. Big time moment here. And it would start big. Rollins would suicide dive, send Punk into the barricade, fight would spill out into the crowd. Weirdly, the ref was not standing in the ring counting them out. The ref, instead of counting them out, got into the crowd with them and was like begging them to get back in the ring.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, is this like a no holds bar or a street fight or hardcore?
Yeah. We need some rules. Can we just have some rules in wrestling?
That is one thing that's kind of disappeared as time goes on is the count out from the ref to the outside. It happens sometimes. Or like sometimes you get them to count to 2 when they're really out like 8.
Yeah.
But you got to have it a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't really like that. But they get back in the ring and both would go for their finishers, and then both would have like a session of like just booting the hell out of the other man, like literally with their boot. Seth Rollins first, and then CM Punk. They just traded big boots with each other. But we would get a top rope swinging neck breaker to Seth Rollins by CM Punk, and he would be attacking that neck for the rest of the match, basically. We get a back and forth during the commercial break. Obviously, he's still focused on that neck and knee. Rollins would eventually catch Punk midair, who was going for a top rope crossbody, roll him up and hit him with a GTS. He hit Punk with a GTS, and Punk would roll out of the ring. He'd get hit so hard with the GTS that he rolls out of the ring. But eventually they get back into the ring where Punk would follow it up, get his revenge, hit Rollins with a stomp. 1-2, ooh there. Rollins would reverse a GTS. They're going, they're spamming their finisher at this point, ladies and gentlemen. But he would reverse a GTS from Punk and then give Punk another GTS. So Rollins hit 2 GTSs on Punk. 1-2, ooh. Rollins then rolls Punk out of the ring, goes to the top of the announce table, hits a pedigree on Punk, and then rolls him back into the ring. When he does the pedigree, by the way, on the announce table, he tweaks the knee. But he gets back into the ring, and then he hits another pedigree on Punk in the ring. 1-2, ooh.
Right then, that's when I said, oh.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. I said, oh, no.
Holy shit, CM Punk is, that's a lot.
Uh-huh. That was a lot.
He's eating 2 GTSs and 2 pedigrees, and and 1 GTS and 2 pedigrees were back to back right there. Okay. Rollins would hit a buckle bomb, looking great per usual. Stomps him after all of this, so he's now eating the buckle bomb and the stomp on top of it, but he's close to the ropes. 1-2, leg on the rope. When he gets the leg on the rope, Rollins would go for a superplex where he normally does a superplex into the Falcon Arrow, right? So he hits a superplex, but when he's rolling up to go into the Falcon Arrow, Punk would reverse it, hit a GTS on Rollins, and Rollins would bounce off the knee, fall into the ropes, and come rolling back onto CM Punk. So he'd bounce off the ropes right back into CM Punk. CM Punk picks him up, hits him with another GTS, back-to-back GTSs. 1, 2, 3. CM Punk defeats Seth Rollins on Raw to Netflix. So we get it. CM Punk just defeats Seth Rollins clean here. No shenanigans, no nothing. Phenomenal match. People are going to have issues with the finish. I like this overall. I'll give it a pop.
Yeah, I'm going to pop it as well right off the bat. The match was fine to me. I don't think the match was anything super special, which makes me think maybe there's more down the road. I thought this was going to be just a flat out maybe one and done sort of thing in terms of kind of how they were building it. But after the way that the match kind of broke down and everything that happened in the match, it makes me realize, okay, we're going to get more because this was almost a little too finisher fest for me. A lot of just big moves, spot to spot, GTS, pedigree, stomp, that sort of thing. But it was fine. Punk winning here, I thought Rollins probably needed to win the most. For Punk, especially, like, he gets the win here, so we assume maybe you run it back, but I would assume he says no. I'm got my sights set on Gunther. Or would you agree with that, I guess?
Yeah, I would assume, you either run it back again right away and you do the trilogy ASAP, which I feel like wouldn't be smart because I do think that these guys should eventually meet at a Mania, or you say, we're done with this for now. We just did this as the precursor to something down the line, and then Punk can go after Gunther here, which I think is a smarter play. Mm-hmm. I think if you want these guys to meet again, it should be at Mania, and one of them should have a belt. You can go CM Punk Gunther and somehow get him a belt come, Rumble or after that, just going into Mania, and then you can have Seth Rollins find his way into the match somehow, and that's where you run it back.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, when I say that I thought that this was going to originally be like a one-off, I mean, like, in terms of time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to have more matches, but right now with how they built it, I was like, oh, okay. I also thought from the CM Punk perspective that, he's got everything in the palm of his hand. He's on top of the world right now, best in the world, if you will. I would have liked to kind of maybe see him get the loss here because that favor from Heyman is still in the back of the minds of everybody, or at least I don't know if people have forgotten about it or maybe they haven't talked about it, but he is still owed a favor. I would have liked to see him maybe kind of down on his luck a little bit more. You made the point that Rollins spent most of 2024 putting people over and doing a great job, and obviously he was injured at times as well. So I feel like it's very divisive. Like, it's almost like Liv and Rhea. You've got your Punk fans, you've got your Rollins fans, and they're going to be set in that way,
Yeah, and it feels worse because that Seth is doing the job for the guy that he had real problems with in terms of leaving the company. Like, the story is built off of a story that was real. Like, Seth Rollins hated CM Punk. It might still have animosity toward him, but like Seth Rollins is obviously doing the job to get CM Punk to the main title scene if they walk away from this and do that route. And so you have Seth Rollins fans that are going to sit here and be like, what the hell? Like, Seth Rollins is going to keep on just putting people over. Like, eventually you need to give him his flowers too. And I know that he started the year as world champion. I get it. But like, we haven't seen a dominant Seth Rollins title reign in forever, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you the thought process of, okay, well, Punk's going to Gunther now, but where does Seth go?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, maybe I wouldn't think he changes brands.
No, he won't follow Drew, right?
Right. So I would think maybe he does, but like at the same time, I don't know. That just seems kind of like a cop-out thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what would be next for Seth.
Plus, he can't say Monday Night Rollins at that point.
Friday Night freaking Rollins. I don't know. That's terrible. Don't do that.
That's awful.
All right, well,
bad.
We gave this 12 pops, 5 drops, so that's about 70%, about a 3 out of 5 stars is around what we get this. First Raw on Netflix, out of everything, what's your takeaway?
Yeah, I would say Raw to Netflix, this first one really was for the not hardcore wrestling fan. I would say it's for more of the casual fan or the more new viewers, really kind of establishing, hey, here's our important people. Here are our top people. You also notice that from as many cutaways to the crowd of Braun Breaker or Tiffany or Bianca or whoever. I mean, they had a million tonight. So it's really just kind of that, kind of almost like a Saudi show. I would say maybe a solid 6 to 6.5 for me. Wasn't anything spectacular, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I think a 3 out of 5 is around where it was. This isn't what it's going to look like all the time. You're not going to have people coming out and spouting, promoting Netflix all the time. We're going to get more wrestling and stuff. Production-wise, production quality is through the roof. If that's what it's going to look like on a week-to-week basis, like that's something that's special. I think that that's a game-changing device, like just the way they're using the 4K cameras, the drone shots, just the overall presentation and quality was through the roof. So if that's the standard, Can't wait for that. But yeah, let's shave off some of this promotional fluff in the future. But this is a fun time. You got to see some of the all-time greats. Give it good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good.
And then next week we'll see kind of what it looks like. Next week's already shaping up to be a really good Raw.
Yep.
So that's phenomenal. I have more questions now after this than I had leading into it,
Yep.
which is, I would say it's a good thing. I
Yep.
would say it leaves you kind of wondering what's next for a lot of people. Where do they go? And I think it did its job.
Yeah, we popped the episode. Looking forward to it. We're back, though. We're back. Live streams are back on YouTube now. We're going to stream from YouTube, make it quick and easy for everybody. So you'll find us right here. Come watch alongs with us on our live stream. Thank you for all those who tuned in today. But regularly scheduled content is now here.
Yeah.
I'm back in the States.
No few weeks, you know, outdated stuff maybe.
Thank you guys for supporting that stuff. But follow us on all of our socials at COD Wrestle Pod, COD Wrestle Pod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcast at, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. If you want to come follow us on everything else, we have a link tree in our bio. It's got all of our socials. Follow us everywhere. Comment, like, share. We love talking to you guys. We got a Discord as well if you want to come. But I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.